configure HSRP version 1 means all the HSRP routers can be communicating through multicast address, that is 224.0.0.2. So in case we can configure HSRP version 2 means all the HSRP routers can communicate through multicast address is 224.0.0.102, and HSRP is an UDP protocol and its port number is 1985. Next one, so virtual MAC address. So the virtual MAC address for HSRP is, so the first 24-bit is an Cisco vendor. So vendor ID, that is Cisco, because HSRP is an Cisco proprietary protocol. So the first 24-bit is an vendor ID, that is Cisco. Next 07AC, it is an HSRP ID, and XX, this XX indicates the group number of HSRP. So if you are configuring HSRP means we have to give group number, so that group number value can be assigned in virtual MAC address and it's an hexadecimal. Next one, by default preemption is disabled. So what is meant by preemption? So we can see. So this is an example topology for HSRP. So this is an ISP. So here the two gateways are there. So one gateway is physical interface IP address is 192.168.100.1 and another one is 192.168.100.2. So PC1 and PC2 we can assign the IP address as 192.168.100.3 and 192.168.100.4. So here the virtual IP is 192.168.100.254. So this virtual IP can be assigned as a default gateway for PC1 and PC2. So now we can configure HSRP in R2 router and R3 router. So the syntax for configuring HSRP is standby. Next we have to give group number. So the group number should be an 1 to 255. So here I can give an 100. Next IP space, next one virtual IP address. So the virtual IP address is 192.168.100.254. So here I will assign 192.168.100.254. So now in R2 router I can create the HSRP. Next we can assign the priority value. So standby, next group number, next priority, next we have to give the priority value. So the priority value range is 1 to 255. Here I will give an 200. Next standby 100 preemption. So what is meant by preemption? I will explain here. So next one, standby. So here also I will configure standby 100. Next we have to assign the IP space. This next we have to assign the virtual IP address. Next one, standby 100. Next priority, then give the priority value. So here also standby 100 preemption. Okay, so I will assign the priority value. So R2 router and R3 router I can configure HSRP. So which router will takes place active state? So depends upon the priority value, it can takes the active state. So here R2 router I can configure priority as 200 and R3 I can configure priority value as 100. So which one is an highest priority value? So R2, that is 200. So R2 is an active state. So PC1 and PC2 can communicate to ISP through R2 router. It cannot communicate to ISP through R3 router because it is an standby state. So until it becomes the active state, then only the PC1 and PC2 can communicate to ISP through R3 state. Okay, preemption. So in R2 router and R3 router I can enable preemption. So what is meant by preemption? For an example, at present R2 router is an active state because its priority value is 200. So in case that R2 router fast Ethernet 0/0 interface can goes down, so that time that R3 router, the standby state can takes place active state. Now the PC1 and PC2 can communicate to ISP through R3 router because R2 router fast Ethernet 0/0 interface goes down. Once the fast Ethernet 0/0 interface can up means again it will goes to active state because the priority value is 200 and here is 100. So if you are enabling preemption in R2 and R3 router means once the active state goes down means the standby state can takes place active state and it can communicate to ISP, that is PC1 and PC2 can communicate to ISP through R3 router. So once this active state, once the R2 router fast Ethernet 0/0 interface can up means it automatically switch over to active state and R3 router comes to standby state if preemption is enabled. If you are not enabling preemption means once this active state goes down, again it will comes up means it will be in standby state only. So for that purpose only we can use preemption. Next one, so this is an active state, this is a standby state. In case this WAN link goes down means how the PC1 and PC2 can communicate to ISP through R2 router, and R2 router how to know this WAN link is goes down. So here we can configure the track option, so we can track this fast interface 1/0. So the syntax for tracking the fast Ethernet 1/0 interface is standby. Next we have to give the group number, next track keyword, next which interface we can be tracked. So here I can track fast Ethernet 1/0. Next we can give the value, so here I will give 150. so this value can be decrement. Once that R2 WAN link, that is fast Ethernet 1/0 interface goes down means we can decrement the priority value. So how much we can decrement means 150. So 200 minus 150 means now the priority value is 50. So R2 router priority value is 50 and R3 router priority value is 100. Which one is highest? R3 is highest. So now the R3 router can takes place active state. Now PC1 and PC2 can communicate to ISP through R3 router. Okay, next, focus on VRRP. So the second flavor of first hop redundancy protocol is virtual router redundancy protocol. Here also gateways are organized into VRR groups. Next one gateway is master and others in backup state. That means in HSRP one gateway is active state. So if it is active state means